Guys, I'm here with my cousin. We're gonna do this try not to look away challenge. So here we go. This is my cousin.
Hello, what's up?
Let's start.
Sorry.
It's okay, bro.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. That scared me.
Sorry, laugh a lot.
Botflies belong to the Estridae family, and their larvae infest mammals, becoming internal parasites
Ew.
which grow inside the flesh of their
I'm not
host.
looking away, guys.
The
I'm not gonna
word
look away. I think I
bud
fixed
is
my
Me
shirt.
no.
commonly described
I just
the
need to
maggot
fix
that
my
keeps
shirt.
growing, and which,
He needs
if
to fix his
very
ice
deep,
too.
has the
Oh
potential
my
of causing
God.
serious
Can I eat
damage.
you?
Known as Dermatobia hominis by its scientific name, the human botfly is among the few fly species, the larvae of which parasitize humans. Their
Ew.
eggs are vectored by more than 40 species of muscoid flies and mosquitoes, and also by a particular species of tick. A disease vector is a term used in epidemiology to describe the agent, whether it is a
Ew.
microorganism or an animal that is responsible for carrying
Or
and
how to
transmitting the
say it.
infection to another living organism. After capturing a mosquito, the female
Ew.
botfly attaches its egg to the mosquito's body. After the eggs are
Devin,
placed,
you
the
haven't even
mosquito
got
is
to see
released.
the
At this
grossest part.
point, there are two
Oh, I
ways
like
in which
the
the larvae
I like
enter
it.
the
I like
human
the
body.
inside.
Once the mosquito starts
Yeah.
feeding, the eggs might hatch, at which point the larvae use the bite area to enter the human body. Another infection possibility is for the eggs to simply fall off the vectoring agent's body as it lands on the human skin. Afterwards, it starts to grow inside the subcutaneous skin layers, and in approximately
Okay,
8 weeks'
look at the
time,
way.
they begin to
I'm
pupate,
sorry, my
meaning
cousin, we're
that they
playing.
enter the intermediate stage between
Yeah.
larva and
Sorry,
Okay.
Devin. Sorry,
an
Devin.
adult
That
human
didn't count,
botfly
guys.
bears
I
a
was just thinking
resemblance
about my
Yeah.
cousins.
to a bumblebee, having
They
a
would-
similar body
Look at my
with a
cousins.
skull.
They're so annoying.
Their lengths vary, typically between
Yeah, he's
12
in the
and
way.
18 millimeters. Their
He
large
had me in the
compound
way.
eyes
Oh, sorry,
and
dude.
the fact that they lack a mouth part are among the features which make them easy to recognize. Number 4.
I can't.
Alan Evans. Alan Evans awoke with excruciating pain in his leg days after visiting Gambia in May 2008. The 50-year-old had been bitten several times by mosquitoes during his 2-week-long holiday, but did not notice anything unusual at the time. After he came back, Evans was feeling weak, like something was draining his energy out. The holiday maker also felt like somebody was stabbing him in the leg with a dagger. Initially,
It's a
the
dagger.
doctors diagnosed him
Like
with
a
a tropical
knife.
infection and prescribed him antibiotics. The 50-year-old went home and began the treatment, but days later, the so-called infection got worse. He looked at his mosquito bites and was petrified to notice that something was moving under his skin. Evans poked the wound and it bounced back. He bought a magnifying glass to analyze the bite and was terrified when he saw what he thought was a crab's claw. At that moment, he decided to go back to the hospital. The hospital consultant discovered the man was suffering from a rare disease called myiasis, caused by parasitic larvae, commonly called maggots. The doctors managed to squeeze 2 of them out of the wounds and had the other 4 cut out. After clearing out Evans' bites, the doctors told him that botfly eggs had been deposited into his leg by mosquitoes. The maggots could have developed into flies, as the larvae were burrowed very deep under his skin.
Why they hold it?
Even though there have been reports detailing the presence of human botflies in certain regions of the European continent, the main concentration of the species is in the Americas. They generally prefer moist, hilly habitats and secondary
not going to
forests.
Elway.
Human botflies may
Never.
I
occur in
went
areas
right there.
ranging from the
Yeah,
south
I
of
went
Mexico
down
there.
to the
Then.
north of Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. Number 3. Brian Williams and Ali Vag. Ali Vag and her boyfriend
I need to look
Brian
away to
Williams
stop.
were
Tell them
enjoying
to
a trip
stop.
to the Amazon
This is not
basin
scary
in
at all.
January 2013. The Australian couple was vacationing in Bolivia.
I know them. I know
They
them. I
both
think I
felt
know them.
irritations
They're
on their
my
skin.
neighbors.
They did not
They
pay
do something
attention to
else.
any symptoms, as they thought they
Do
were
something harder
experiencing
than
itchiness from
this.
the mosquito bites. However, days later, Vag and Williams both felt something squirming under their skin. They
Ew.
watched in horror as at
It's the same
times,
thing.
larvae were poking
They're
their
just doing
heads
the
out
same
of some
thing.
of the open wounds. They rushed to a local hospital where they were diagnosed with human botfly infection.
See?
The maggots were feeding on their flesh and would occasionally come to the surface. In an attempt to starve the larvae of air, Williams spent a couple of days with tape over the wounds on his stomach. He even had a friend pull 3 of the maggots out in a stomach-churning scene that made both Williams and his friend nearly throw up. After receiving medication for the wounds, the couple remained stranded in Bolivia for more than a month, as they were not allowed to leave the country until their infections cleared out. Ali Vag and Brian Williams were able to return home in late February when they were fully healed.
That does not look scary.
One of the most common consequences
Yay,
of
finally.
Dermatobia hominis infestation is the development of an affliction called myiasis.
I'm
The
not
larvae
looking
may
away.
parasitize
There you go.
various areas of the human body. Their entry points may be unbroken skin, open wounds or lesions, the nose or the ears. If they are swallowed, gastric or internal myiasis becomes a possible occurrence. The types of myiasis vary depending on the part of the body that is infested. The most common form of this affliction, developed upon human botfly infestation, is cutaneous myiasis, which manifests itself through furuncles or ulcers, which appear as swollen regions on the patient's body. Other types include nasal myiasis,
dude.
which can
What is
cause
that?
fever,
That's in
facial
his
edema,
nose.
severe irritation, and obstruction of the nasal passages.
You try to get
Myiasis
out?
of the human
No.
eye, or
I got none.
ophthalmomyiasis, which can cause retinal detachment or glaucoma, and oral myiasis, which,
Or
if
got any of
located in the
that.
middle ear, has the danger of larvae reaching the brain. The maggots feed on the tissue of their host. There have been cases in which the larvae had reached the brains of infants through gaps called the fontanelles of the infant's cranium, which had not fully developed yet. In these cases, as the maggots burrow their way through the tissue layers, their host may experience severe pain and tissue damage. Fatalities have resulted in rare cases due to cerebral myiasis.
Was it white?
The lesions and damage caused by the maggots burrowing may lead to additional infection, which, if left untreated, may result in further health problems and even death. The larvae have spines on their tegument, which enable them to anchor themselves in the flesh of their host, and thus removing them is a procedure that must be executed carefully. Severe infection is likely to occur
That
if
an
larvae
eye?
removal is not done
I don't
properly,
know what
and parts
the
of
heck
it are
that is.
still
Yeah, I think
present
it's an
inside the
eye.
human body.
Ew, is
Maggots
it
keep
breathing?
eating through the tissue,
I don't know.
and as they grow in size, patients have commonly described being able to see and feel
I'm
them
still
squirting
looking,
underneath
guys.
their skin.
Uh-oh.
Death is a possible scenario, even though the number of
just
fatalities
need
caused
to
by
move.
human botflies is
I'm
hard
still
to
looking.
determine,
I'm still
as
looking.
most
I'm still
infestations
looking.
occur in remote or impoverished
I need to move
areas
something.
where proper medical
I really
analysis is
uncomfortable.
difficult to perform. Number 2.
Number 2, let's go.
Aaron Dallas. When the doctors first examined the strange swollen area on Aaron Dallas's head, they had several theories. One of them was that he had been bitten by a gnat, while another entertained the possibilities that he had contracted shingles, a painful skin rash brought about by the varicella zoster virus.
What are you doing?
Were shocked when they saw the bumps starting to move. They soon discovered that the man had 5 botfly larvae living inside the skin near the top of his skull. Aaron Dallas told a media outlet,
Those ones are
"I put
white,
my hand
though.
back there and feel them moving.
Can you
I
change
thought it
this?
was blood coursing through my head. I could hear them.
This is
I
finished.
actually
This
thought
stuff
I
is
was
scary,
going
right?
crazy. It was
No.
weird and traumatic. I would get this pain that would drop me to my knees."
What's
Dallas
that?
had recently been on a trip to Belize. The medical specialist believed that he contracted the infestation at some point during his trip, and that it had occurred
Put this
via
online.
mosquito bites. The parasites were eventually removed from a pit that was between 2 and 3 millimeters wide, and Dallas made a full
All
recovery.
you can see is your eye.
The best course of action in dealing with a botfly infestation is contacting a medical professional in order to have the larva removed. For many of those unfamiliar with the issue, seeing the maggots starting to squirm under the skin can often cause panic, which would lead to an immediate attempt to remove it. If it is not executed properly and the larvae is not removed in its entirety, the attempt may leave the patient vulnerable to a secondary infection, which may prove to be a greater health risk if not treated with antibiotics. Even though the idea of a human botfly infestation may sound like a gruesome scenario, the fact that the larvae still needs to breathe through a surface point offers several treatment options. Applying petroleum jelly over the entry point surface will
You have
cut
that?
the larvae's air supply, suffocating it. After around 24 hours, the larvae can then be removed using a pair of tweezers.
Stop!
Mixture of white glue and safe insecticide on the swollen area also has the potential of killing the larvae. As it still needs an air hole to breathe, the maggot will eat through the glue and die in the process. First aid kits usually come equipped with venom extractor syringes, which can be used to remove the larvae easily at any stage of their growth. There has been at least one instance in which applying nail polish to the area has resulted in the larva's partial asphyxiation. Some have used adhesive tape as a method of suffocating the larvae. This, however, is not advised, as the larva's breathing tube is fragile. Upon the tape's removal, the tube might break off, which would leave most of the larva's body behind. In case the maggot is located in an area that makes invasive treatments difficult, the use of ivermectin, an antiparasitic drug, has proven effective. Number 1. Piotr
Last
Naskriki.
one.
The last one.
Would dread the
Dude,
very
that
idea of
thing
a
is
botfly
huge.
infection. However, Piotr Naskriki, an Entomologists from the Harvard University in the United States allowed 2 human
Did you know
botfly
that?
larvae to grow inside his skin for scientific purposes. After he had returned from a trip to Belize, Nespriki noticed that the mosquito bites he had contracted during his trip were not healing. He soon realized that he had botfly larvae living inside
Are
his
they
skin.
eating it?
He had one of the larvae removed with a suction device, but then decided to commence an experiment in which he let 2 of them eat away at his flesh and keep growing inside his skin. For 2 months, the larvae continued to increase in size until they were big enough to crawl out. The entomologist made a video documenting the experiment and showing the moment in which the maggots emerged from his skin. In the video, Piotr Nespriki said, "I figured that being a male, it was my only chance to produce another living, breathing being out of my flesh and blood." 6-year-old Dunya Sibomana, his 4-year-old brother, and one of their friends were playing near a river close to Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Tragedy struck when the boys were attacked by a troop of chimpanzees. It was believed that because of the poaching.
Well, guys, you probably couldn't hear me that good, but say bye, Devin, and we're gonna just wait until the next video, right, Devin?
Yeah.
And see you guys later. And I hope you guys ain't any haters.